Tonight on Business Live, popular event center, the Underbridge in East Legon, locked up by the Ghana Revenue Authority for failure to register for payment of value-added tax. More from the GRA VAT invigilation exercise.
Report that we received, and it was confirmed that they were not registered. That was last week.
Also, profit margins of local businesses likely to witness further squeeze following the hike in policy rate to 24.5%. We'll hear from the head of Data Bank Research, Alex Boahin.
Companies that have some significant leverage in terms of debt in their capital structure are going to spend a bit more in interest expenses.
Plus, some enterprises are embarking on another round of layoffs due to the rising cost of doing business and the challenging economic environment.
Inflation 33.9, cedi depreciation 40%, cost of credit is now about 35%. Fuel prices are going up. Recently, they have increased electricity, they have increased water.
So the cost of doing business is now forcing some of your members to do another round of layoffs.
Yeah. My name is Beverly Broohm. Do stay with us. Hello and welcome. Now let's settle for the details. Popular Event Center, the Underbridge in East Legon, has been locked up by the enforcement team of the Ghana Revenue Authority. The action follows the inability of managers for the facility to register for the payment of value-added tax VAT. The day's operation is part of a VAT invigilation exercise being undertaken by the authority to claim all taxes on the state. The following report has more.
The action forms part of moves by the Commissioner General to ensure that taxpayers honor their obligations to the state. Popular Event Center, the Underbridge, has been operating for more than 2 years without registering with the Ghana Revenue Authority.
East Legon. We had an intel that Underbridge Event Center had not registered. So then we sent officers to confirm the intel report that we received. And it was confirmed that they were not registered. That was last week.
The team moved next to the Tama Industrial Area and Fishing Harbour, where numerous cold store businesses have been operating with fake VAT invoices. About 4 cold stores were locked up, whilst the managers were arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department officials attached to the exercise. Here is Accra Central Enforcement Manager of the GRA, Joseph Annan.
And we are currently at Techi Yard. We were able to visit 3 of them who were doing selective issuance of the VAT invoice. Those 3, they are registered all right. Some are even using the till. As to whether they have the dispensation or not, we are yet to find out. But for now, the focus is whether you are issuing the VAT invoice or not. And for them, there is evidence that they are registered, but they are doing selective issuance. which is also still against the law.
At Tema Community 9, Chief Executive of Josh Nate Ventures, Joseph Nate, was arrested for issuing fake VAT invoices. Despite having some concerns, the team arrested him for the offense and locked up the facility.
My register for VAT, I register for VAT, but any VAT invoice na ena mika sanity.
I have VAT receipt, but I don't issue, or I have registered for the VAT. But because of the marginal profit, just about 1 cedis, 2 cedis, I can't be issuing VAT invoice or VAT receipt to everyone because it will take up all the profit.
To me issue be, me issue be VAT invoice in me trobi, but in any na metro. Sana mbese oh, there be many India chinibia. I change the assignment to many India chingy.
At Techi Yard in the fishing harbour area, some managers got the information about the operation and locked up their stores, leaving their customers and vehicles on the compound. Here is Joseph Annan again.
Unfortunately, the main yard has about 8 of them. But word went round. So when we got in here, they've all vanished. Techi Yard. They've locked out the place. But for us, like I always say, we are on the field. We'll always be knocking at doors. So if you run today, then you run forever, because we will surely come and knock at your door. The issue is when we are coming. It's not about if, it is when.
He has further disclosed to Joy Business that the operation, which has begun for more than a month, has been very impactful since the authority has been able to retrieve more than 200,000 cedis from recalcitrant taxpayers. Now,
the profit margins of some local businesses is likely to witness further squeeze following the hike in policy rate. Yesterday's announcement of the 250 basis point hike in the highest policy rate increase since 2017. The central bank cited threats to inflation and growth. Head of Data Bank Research, Alex Boahin, spoke on the marketplace.
We can look at it from 2 perspectives. One, this is not going to only impact the government because when you raise interest rates, what it means is that cost of funding or cost of borrowing for the government is going to go up and further constrict our already very tight fiscal space. And moving away from the government and the private sector is going to have a massive impact. If you look at companies are already struggling with FX depreciation and high inflation, which is actually squeezing their margins, their profit margins to be specific. So this is also going to add to the higher pressures that companies are actually contending from inflation and the currency pressures. What we are likely to see going forward is that companies that have some significant leverage in terms of debt in their capital structure are going to spend a bit more in interest expenses. So we are likely to see profit margins squeeze even further, looking at the trend of interest rates on the market currently. Because as you know, for the past year, we have seen some of the leading companies in Ghana actually struggling to cope with the high cost pressure that we are seeing both globally and also domestically. We've seen that filtering through the financial performance of some of the leading companies like Farm Milk, like Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited on the market, and even Unilever, which is probably the hardest hit company on the stock market. So, Daryl, looking ahead, I think it's not looking quite pretty at this moment for companies.
Now, employers will have a verification system to enable them fact-check the backgrounds of employees. That's according to Chief Executive of Morrison Records Bureau, Emmanuel Morrison. Over the years, most companies have had to face lawsuits due to failure to run detailed checks of all information supplied in resumes and curriculum vitae, especially referee details, employment records, and educational backgrounds. But the launch of Morrison Records Bureau seeks to bridge the gap between cost-effective and efficient background and data checks.
Morrison Records Bureau is a subsidiary of US-based Morrison Corporation LLC that seeks to ride on government's digitalization agenda by helping companies prioritize verification identity, education, work, history, reference checks, criminal records, and a myriad of other security services per demand. Emmanuel Morrison is Chief Executive of Morrison Records Bureau.
This is a background verification company, and we are actually working hand in hand with all the various institutions to get the digitization actually to light. So Ghana Card today, as we all know, has actually come to stay, and believe it or not, it is one of the best things that has happened that will help streamline our processes of how we do our talent acquisition. So we are here today to actually help this process go on, and we are bringing a central hub which will actually get all data queries together. So say if you want to maybe travel and then you go to the embassies and they want to know, and usually they ask you for police clearance. The police today actually go through manual processes to do all these things, and we are working hand in hand with the police department to actually digitize this and all these processes to automate them.
Country Director for Human Resource Certification Center, Dr. Jeff Bassi, explained that most companies are victims of lawsuits because there are no law requirements to conduct background checks of employees. He advised that in the interim, employers rely on external fact-checking companies.
In other jurisdictions, there's always this bureau that is a one-stop place. I recognize the great contribution our security agencies are making to the development of this country, but truth be told that sometimes when we rely on the police, for instance, for some of these clearance forms, you almost can predict what the outcome will be. I had advised a few of my clients to want to engage, agencies of the sort who have the time, the expertise, who are, if you may, acquainted with the contemporary regulation to do some of this work. And one such company is Morrison.
Organizations have been urged to exhibit customer-centric services in their daily operations since customers are key to the survival of their entities. According to the country director of British Council Ghana, businesses cannot last if they do not prioritize the importance of customers. He was speaking at the Customer Service Open Day celebration of his outfit.
Customer service is celebrated on the first week of every October. The country director of British Council Ghana, Chikodi Onyemerela, said the council value customer service and its impact on today's organizations and businesses.
Customer service and customer centricism is our second nature here at the British Council, and not just what we do within a week. We do truly understand that our customers, be it our exams customers, test takers, program customers, suppliers, contractors, and internal customers, of course, my fellow British Council colleagues, it's why we do cultural relations business, which we proud ourselves for. We do also recognize that corporates, high and mighty, rises and falls because of how they understand their customers and manage their temperaments, voices, their feelings, and response to all of this.
Mr. Onyemerela urged businesses to prioritize feedbacks from customers and incorporate them in their strategy going forward to avert collapse.
And what the customers need. And not just understanding what the customers need. The time we are in. Because I think the problem some of them have, particularly Nokia, is that the market moved faster than Nokia. While some other brands like Samsung and Apple are enjoying the frenzy of the moment, some organizations are not meeting up that speed. So to respond to you directly, organizations should.
The event featured a symposium of presentations on cultural engagement and exams work and an exhibition that showcases the activities and initiatives in Ghana.
You're still watching Business Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Beverly Broohm. Now to some other stories. GCB Bank PLC has officially unveiled a range of Visa business cards as the bank's response to the over-increasing innovation within the banking sector and the fast-changing customer needs that have emerged. Commenting on the rationale for the new GCB business cards, the Executive Director of Wholesale and Investment Banking, GCB Bank PLC, Mr. Sam Edu, explained that the bank aims to keep steps with the rampant changes within the sector. Here's more in this report.
According to the Executive Director of Wholesale and Investment Banking at GCB Bank PLC, Sam Edu, the bank has embarked on a market dominant strategy anchored around three strategic pillars, namely profitability and growth, operational excellence, people and talent. He added that GCB Bank will continue to demonstrate strong market awareness and the agility to continue developing customer-centric that meets and exceeds customers' expectations. He hopes that the new GCB Visa business cards will help push Ghana's move towards a cashless society and help mitigate the risk of carrying bulk cash for business transactions.
A cashless or cash-light economy and the use of business cards will help mitigate the risk of carrying bulk amount of cash and help businesses to track expenses and digitize business payments. Business cards also provide peace of mind to business owners by enabling them to implement robust controls around the use of business cards. Furthermore, they help businesses with the separation and categorization of business expenses for tax and other record keeping. It is because of these factors that GCB Bank PLC has introduced the GCB Visa business debit and business prepaid cards to help drive Ghana's cashless agenda and give businesses the convenience, safety, and the security associated with digital expenses.
On his part, the head of commercial banking at GCB Bank PLC, George Fauci, explained that the GCB Visa business cards available in debit and prepaid options have been designed to serve the needs of commercial banking, MSME, and corporate clients.
The GCB Visa business cards have been designed to suit the needs of our commercial banking clients, micro and small enterprises. The cards come in two types: the Visa Business Debit Cards and the Visa Business Prepaid Card. The GCB Visa Business Cards would provide our clients a convenient access to business funds for the payment of bills, making purchases, and withdrawing cash. The cards are pin and chip enabled to ensure safety and security and can be used to make payments online.
To reaffirm the bank's commitment to delivering long-term value to customers, GCB Bank has established strategic partnerships with various merchants and partners to give GCB business cards holders discounts of up to 15% on their purchase.
Now, still to come on the program, some enterprises are embarking on another round of layoffs due to the rising cost of doing business and the challenging economic environment. Do stay with us.
Inflation 33.9, cedi depreciation 40%, cost of credit is now about 35%. Fuel prices are going up. Recently, they have increased electricity, they have increased water.
So the cost of doing business is now forcing some of your members to do another round
Thanks
of
for staying with us. Now to some other stories. Some enterprises are embarking on another round of layoffs due to the rising cost of doing business and the challenging economic environment. A similar move was undertaken by businesses during the height of COVID-19 last year. They say that this is the best option for now to prevent them from shutting down their operations. Mark Beduabwaje is the chief executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and he has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
Let's look at the balance to ensure that even though we are satisfying our external investors, we also will not do things that will affect the private sector of the country. External investors usually will bring money, but the productive sector should be taken care of. If you satisfy the external investors and you kill businesses, definitely they will lay off people. And recently, one of our members was complaining that He's only operating just about 20%, and he has to lay off people.
Oh, that is happening. The layoffs are happening.
Yes, they are
still happening.
Yes, they're happening.
As it has to do with the cost of credit or the inflation that is weighing into it.
It's a combination. It's an accumulation of the various factors that affect businesses.
Inflation is one.
Inflation,
cost of credit is one.
33.9. CD depreciation 40%. Cost of credit is now about 35%. Fuel prices are going up. Recently, they have increased electricity, they have increased water.
So the cost of doing business is now forcing some of your members to do another round of layoffs again.
Yes.
Because we thought that the COVID was the first round of layoffs.
Yes.
Now there's another second round of layoffs going on right now
but
because of all these things.
If they can't produce, there's no need keeping.
What about cutting down your costs? Some will say that when you business owners, we are always the first casualties. When some of these things are there, you still have a CEO or top directors with very, very, very heavy compensation package. Why can't they? Okay, why can't you do that to try and save some of us?
Where are you cutting the costs? We are producing, we are providing the services. And in fact, a lot of CEOs for some time now would have even suspended some of their benefits just if they want to be able to sustain themselves and sustain businesses. Now is not the time for any CEO to say that I'm even buying a big car or I'm even building a new house. This is the time for every business person, every rational business person will now look at how to sustain the business, how to survive.
The Ghana Export Promotion Authority has expressed confidence in achieving its 2029 domestic export revenue target of $25.3 billion. According to the Director of Projects at Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Alexander Zajawa, the authority is the course of achieving the target, though export revenue for 2021 stood at $3.3 billion. Here's a report.
Speaking at a program to sensitize small and medium producers on Ghana's export development strategy, the Director of Projects at the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Alexander Dajewa, noted that though the target is ambitious, the authority is confident of achieving Ghana's export revenue target of $25.3 billion in 2029. He stated that if the country is able to build the capacity of local businesses and guide producers to meet the required standards of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the country will scale up local production and increase exports.
It's big, but it's doable. And as I said, it's a 10-year strategy launched in 2020, which means we've already done 2 years. And I can tell you that the baseline revenue was around $2.9 billion as at 2020. Now we were at $3.3 billion 2021. So it means that the trajectory is good. All we need to do is to put in extra efforts so that we can achieve more. The target for 2022 is around $4.2 billion. And so if we work at it, I'm sure that gradually we'll be achieving our target. The major objective is to ensure that the district level actors also understand the importance of the National Export Development Strategy and what is expected of them, the role that is expected of them, so that we can achieve the ultimate of non-traditional export revenue of $25.3 billion.
Though the Ghana Exim Bank and some financial institutions have created tailored financial packages to assist SMEs, Mr. Dajewa stated that access to credit coupled with high interest rates and lengthy certification procedures are some of the challenges SMEs face.
Well, the major one is access to finance, and then the internal systems that the companies themselves have, particularly for the processing companies. They need to meet certain certification requirements, and most of the time the certification costs are quite high and they are not able to meet it, and so that's a challenge. And so we are talking to our financial institutions to at least consider them, and most of these financial institutions, including the banks, are now coming on board by setting up export desks and SME desks at their various banks that is providing the credit facilities that they require. And so credit, yes, and also their internal systems to be ready for the market.
The sensitization program, which is being done on a district basis, is meant to educate and develop the capacity of local producers to boost production and enhance export revenues.
And that's your show for tonight. Thank you so much for your company. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broohm. Enjoy the rest of our programs.